Amore! Heartbreak.
Oh man, that SAO episode, that was so good. SAO this year, I just love it because it's so good. They actually learned, A1 Pictures actually learned from their mistake of adapting SAO the first time, and they're working their way up to redeeming themselves as a studio because they have done some bad stuff. They're never going to be able to erase what they've done with Persona 4, the golden animation, but they are trying to, you know, replace what they've done with SAO as a franchise. But I do love the fact that they're finally adapting it like it should be. There are some people that say it's slow-paced, but you guys know, it's just really good so far. Even my brother, who doesn't really watch anime, it's like reviewing it or something, he just kind of watches it just to watch it. I wouldn't call him casual because he has watched some stuff, but he watches it just to watch it. But even he knows that the first season had a really bad second arc, and I think he loves the fact, even he likes the fact that it's been fixed. But moving that out the way, let's actually get to the review. Kirito saving Shinon, I think, signifies a war, and the reason why I say that is because he almost, it was like he just started randomly shooting because I think he knew that Death Gun was there, like he said later in the episode. He kind of knew Death Gun was there because he was more strategic about it. He figured out that Gunner X was a girl, and he knew that that wasn't going to be Death Gun. Starman was obviously Death Gun from the beginning, like I said, but, you know, that's just how anime works. But the reason why I say it signifies a war is because not only did that happen, but they even had shot when trying to escape from Death Gun on, like, the dune buggy. Even though, you know, this is like a life or death situation, I think Death Gun is going to take this as, you're not going to let up easy. I know that this is the Kirito that, you know, was in SAO, and now that he knows that, he's really out to kill him. We all knew he was out to kill him, but I think the fact that he, you know, tried to kick him out the game with, like, explosions and shooting him in the head was, you know, a signification of that Kirito is not going to back down. He is planning to kill Death Gun. Not necessarily kill him, but in this entire issue with Death Gun, rather that, or whether that ends up having him arrested, I don't think they'll go to the, you know, the level of getting him killed, but if they do, hey, it's a good plot twist. Now, although I did love, oh my god, that explosion with the car, it just looked gorgeous. It was just amazing. I do want to say something about the CGI. It's like, I don't know how it is. I guess this is just how CGI always looks, but CGI looks very bland, but the way A1 Pictures and, like, this anime just adapted, like, they use the CGI, it just animates really fluidly. It just animates really well, even though it doesn't look all that great. It just, from a visual standpoint, it doesn't look all that great, but from an animation standpoint, it looks gorgeous. I do love how they handle the CG. Now, Shinon conflicted me this episode, because she did start crying and acting all whiny like I don't like from protagonist period. Like when something happens, and they just dote on it for a couple of episodes, like 3 or 4 episodes. Even though, I mean, like, if you're trying to develop a character, you develop the character before something happens. But then after you develop, you know, after the character's developed, then I guess you can start bringing in the tragedy. But the thing is that, like, I don't know, Shinon conflicted me with the way she was crying, but on a standpoint, she has an awful past. So her PTSD and her whining, to an extent, I think is understandable. And the fact that she's trying to become stronger is one of the reasons why I like her so much more as a female protagonist, rather than some of these, like, female protagonists that just, like, cry and cry and cry about, I'm not strong enough, and they constantly have somebody trying to comfort them. She doesn't always need that person to comfort her. She's trying to live up. She's trying to be stronger than she was in the real world, because every time she thinks of Gun, she just thinks of herself being a murderer in her, like, past. And her past is really sad, because even in her childhood, like, even when she was, like, 10 or 11, she's even getting bullied for the fact that people think that she's a murderer, and they're not even taking the fact that she did it to save her mom. They don't take that into consideration. Speaking of PTSD, I am loving the psychological aspect. I know that, like, some people won't see this as, like, a psychological aspect, but it is. It's getting into people's heads. It's starting, the PTSD itself is just psychological. Not to us people that are watching it, but to the people inside the show, like Kirito and Shinon. It is a psychological feel, and I do like the way that they're handling it this season as opposed to how it kind of was last season, because technically last season was psychological just because, you know, it did have some extent to it, how, you know, if you die in the game, you die in real life, but it didn't go very far into a psychological feel, but now we're finally getting into it. So overall, I did like this episode. It didn't have a lot of action, not really, but it was a very good build-up episode, and apparently we're almost done with this arc, and I'm not worried about the pacing. That's the thing. I know SAO's first season, the first arc of the first season, actually Sword Art Online, did seem, apparently it was rushed. And apparently, I honestly didn't see it that much until I went back and I watched that arc. But this season, other than an episode that Chibi had said was starting to get a little rushed, has not been rushed. It's been adapted pretty much perfectly. And I do love that. I do love the way that they're adapting this. The question is, how are they going to handle this next arc? Is this next arc going to be as good as this first one, pacing-wise, or are they just, you know, going to add in a different arc? Are they going to have an arc that kind of just separates from the main story of Gun Gale Online and just go to something else? But and overall, very good episode. I wonder what they're going to do with the second arc, because like the matriarchal or the mother arc or something like that, I'm really looking forward to that, because it covers this entire thing about Laughing Coffin. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you guys did enjoy, please leave a like, comment, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Deuces. Amore!